I've been reflecting lately that I've been moving through a different era of the Famicom. We're now well past the boom time when every game had a weird story attached to it, and we've entered an era of basic competence. In the case of Ninja Cop Saizou, we have a publisher who only got out 3 games on the system, and a fledgling developer who never made anything before. And the result is something that's fine. Not great, not awful. A perfectly ordinary, middle-of-the-road game. For what it's worth, that developer's name is AI, like artificial intelligence, not I, the Japanese word for love, though I wouldn't be surprised if it was intended as a pun. The story for their debut game is that ninja-related crimes are on the rise in America, and to fight them you need a ninja cop. You're called in at the start of the game because a drug gang has been kidnapping children. And then you have to fight your way through 6 stages of enemies and defeat the leader of the criminal organization. Something you're going to notice pretty quickly here is that when Taito localized this game to the US as Wrath of the Black Manta, they made a lot of changes. The music is different, the bosses are different, and the Japanese version has essentially 2 extra stages. And there's a lot of visual changes as well, particularly when you grab somebody and shake them down for information. The weird graphics in the cutscenes are primarily what Ninja Cop Saizou is known for. And those cutscenes that lead into every stage really tell you what game they're trying to steal some thunder from. The A button jumps, and the B button attacks. If you're distant from an enemy, you'll throw a shuriken, while if they're up close, you'll knife them. The knife attack is much stronger than the shuriken as well. There's also 4 additional tricks that you can do. At the start of every stage, you can assign 4 ninjutsu to Saizou. These are activated by holding down the B button to build up a charge and pressing in a direction. It actually doesn't take that long to build up a charge to use the abilities, so it's pretty easy to use it while just walking around. For the initial 4 abilities you have, just standing still will make an explosion of fireballs around you. You have to use it at this point to knock out a ninja on a kite so that you can steal it. Walking left and right and building up a charge will cause you to throw a fireball ahead of you. Much stronger than your regular attack and so pretty useful. Even more useful is the downward shot, which tracks along the ground. Hitting up and building up a charge will create a clone above you that will also attack when you do. As you progress through the game, you'll get additional abilities that you'll have to swap out. You can tunnel through the ground and pop out and surprise people, or more usefully, you could make yourself invincible for a short time. That ability is pretty handy against bosses. While you're running through the stages, you'll come across rooms that you can go into. These rooms can have one of 3 things. You might have to defeat 3 opponents in order to restore 3 bars of life. You could have to defeat all of the enemies to rescue a child, and the kid will give you some information. Or you could find a pickup. That could be a note that you'd read, or an L that will restore you to maximum health. One useful thing to know about these fight rooms is that you can keep re-entering them to gain more health. Also, if you have a ninjutsu active when you go in, it will remain active in the room. Besides the regular side-scrolling jumping and attacking action, there's a couple places where you have to steal a kite and do a shoot 'em up. And on the final stage, you have these elevator exits where you have to shoot the enemies as they pop out. If you die while just running around the stage, you revive right there. But if you die against a boss, then you revive at the start of the boss fight with only 3 health. The maximum you can enter the room with is 9, so you're generally at a bit of a disadvantage then. That said, most of the bosses have a trick to them that trivializes them. Typically something using one of your ninjutsu abilities. That's really my only serious complaint about the game. The ninjutsu abilities are just too powerful. At the cost of having to charge for a second and a half, you can become invulnerable for 5 seconds, destroy all the enemies on the screen, hit a particularly tough enemy over and over again, and while some of them are overwhelmingly powerful, other ones are just about completely useless, like the tunneling ability, which only works in certain areas and doesn't do anything useful for you. If you're having trouble, there is an invincibility code. You have to enter it before the title screen appears, and then you can just walk through everything. If you just want to go back to where you were when you had to turn the system off, there's also level select codes. These are entered at the title screen, and if you enter one of them, you have to go through the opening cutscene before you know if it worked. In Japan, the only things that Ninja Cop Saizou is really remembered for are the weird graphics and the absurd storytelling. Playing the game, it's really obvious that somebody wanted to do Ninja Gaiden and Shinobi at the same time. And this game isn't as good as either of those. Okay, it's better than the NES version of Shinobi, but we won't be seeing that on the Famicom. Ninja Cop Saizou is perfectly adequate. It's not going to be anybody's favorite game. In fact, I don't think anybody's going to go out of their way to go back and play this one. But it's not bad either. And it's not so difficult that you couldn't just take 2 hours, beat it, go, okay, I had fun, and then never think about it again.